again, my brothers and sisters. I'm so glad to be with you. This is my YouTube channel just for you. And this is Sonewen Fella. This is part 5 of story time. And I'm glad that you could join me again because this is a journey that I've been taking for a while, telling this story about this young individual who had, over the years, surpassed some odds in his life. Now he had gone to school. But the civil war, as mentioned in part 4, was raging, so he had to flee from Monrovia. But being a special task force officer, it was almost near to impossibility because it was hard. He couldn't leave. People were out to kill him because as they were doing to everyone who worked with the government. So, but he decided that he was going to still find a way out of Monrovia because it was just bad. Guns were everywhere. There were bullets flying everywhere, and people were being killed. It was so bad. The scenery is something that I would never want to ever see in my life. It was terrible. But this young man felt that he needed to get away because if he didn't, they was going to kill him. In fact, he had a friend who visited his home most times, and the young man had stopped going to work because one night he was to work at a place and he decided to call in sick. But what happened was when he didn't go that night, the rebels attacked the place that he should have worked at a gate, and everyone there was killed. So if he had been there, he was surely going to be one of those. But it happened that he just called in and said he was sick, and they lied. They accepted that it was okay for him to stay home. The next morning when he went to the police station, he got the news that those who went that night were all killed by the rebels. So that was one place his life was safe. And then from there on, he decided not to go back to work. But this friend always encouraged him, try to come over and say, man, you have to come to work. They have you on a blacklist. And, you know, there was this tribal situation that was going on, and they were killing each other. And he came every time. But for him, he was from a different tribe. The tribe that was actually the rebel tribe was fighting against the other tribe. And he lied and said he was a different tribe from the tribe that he actually was. But it happened that they got to know, and they took machetes, or we call it cutlass, and they chopped off his 2 arms and his 2 legs and threw him behind the police station where he cried until his death. But I decided to leave Monrovia and go. But while on his way leaving, he was arrested and was told that they were going to take him to the beach where they did most of the massacre, where they did most of the killing. But fortunately for him, there was a young man who was the brother to the late President Samuel Doe, called Roland Doe, who was driving by in a pickup truck and saw me, and then he asked where I was going, and I said they were taking me to the beach. I'm taking him to the beach, and he said, no, I will take care of this young guy. And he took this guy to the old road. There's a place there in Sinker Old Road where he took this young man who was now in the special task force. But and that was another way of escape from death. So he took him to the old road, and then he found his way in the bushes, which was very dangerous. What happened was once you get in, they close you up, so then you cannot escape. So it became very difficult to leave. So if you were unfortunate, they will kill you. One time he mentioned that the individual stated that he had a little black bag in his hand, and in this bag he had bullets. From being a special task force officer, he didn't know that these bullets were at the bottom of his bag. So when he got to a place called Dupo Road, the rebels asked him to open up the bag. And when he was about to open it, because if it was open or he had opened it, you know they were going to kill him. So he attempted opening the bag because he didn't even know there were bullets in there. And then when he tried opening it, the fellow said, oh no, it's okay, you can move on. Because he knew too that whatever happened, you can't escape. You can't leave. You will be trapped and you could be killed for that. So this individual were fortunate. He left and walked with his girlfriend and his son until on the campus the individual was attending, Fendel. And when he got there, there was the gate. As the story continued, he said that he was trying to cross the gate, but then the rope went between his leg, and that's when they noticed him, and they got him and took him into their headquarters or whatever house they had there. And I'm telling you, the killing was just so bad, and it was so scary and so frightful. It just made this individual, I believe, feel different, because it seemed that his entire life up to now was just a disaster. Things were just difficult for him. Now he was in a war zone and they were killing people everywhere. As the story goes, he said that he was standing up there and a lady came and told him, said, go and sit down, because if you continue to stand, they're going to kill you. And when he sat down, fortunately for him, nobody watched him anymore. Nobody tried to take notice of him. And luckily for him, he saw a friend who and him, this friend was in the Secret Service and had joined the rebels. And he knew this friend very well. So this friend came and saw him and said, man, what are you doing here? And he said, they brought me over here. And he said, let's go. And then he took this individual to Fendel campus, where his girlfriend and his son was at the time. So they gave him a place in the kitchen with his girlfriend and the son to live. Among wood, there were a lot of wood, firewood and stuff there. So he had to figure a way out to stay there. And then few days later, he was on his way to take a shower at a little lake they call Adam and Eve, because there women and men stripped naked and bathed in this muddy water, because that was the only water they could find to take a shower. And on his way to this Adam and Eve lake, he realized that the bullets was in this bag that he mentioned earlier about, and he took this bag and went along with it. So there was a lady who saw him, ran after him, and felt that saying he was in the special task force, they were going to kill him. But it happened for whatever reason, they something else distracted them, and they went on to take care of that, to kill other people, and they left him. So he went and got into the water, put the tower and stuff underneath the water and opened it up. So all the bullets dropped in the water, and he was able to, I don't know whether we say take a shower or take a bath, because the water was muddy. It was terrible. There were hundreds of people in there, completely naked, men and women. And that was a sad scene. It was terrible. But after he got done bathing or mudding himself up, he walked back to the Fendel campus, where his girlfriend and his son were. And the next day, he decided to move on to see if they could leave. But they said that his girlfriend and son could not follow him. He had to go alone. And that was a terrible journey. The story goes that on his way going, he had to walk miles, and then they got in a pickup truck, and then they got to Vera Gates, where he was beaten severely and stuff. But it happened eventually. He made it to Kakata, where he was placed in jail, in the cell where they had all of these prisoners that they felt was the government's workers. So that's where he was placed. And luckily for him, the provost marshal, the one who was caring for the jail, was a guy who was in the special task force along with him. But he had joined the rebels earlier. Each night they will come in and take about 10 people, and they use the expression, "We are taking you halfway," and they will take these 10 people, take them to the road, and they will kill them. So that was what they were doing every night. For this young man, he was noticed by this provost marshal, the one who was a former task force officer, and took him out and said, sit behind my chair. So at night, he would sit behind this guy's chair, and they would come in and pick 10 people out of the jail and go and kill them. So one day he witnessed one of a guy who was part of that tribe. They felt was a spy, and they tied him up and beat him until he urinated on himself, and eventually he passed. He died. So this was some of the situation that was going on at the time, and it was a deplorable situation. People were being killed. He was online trying to find a way out of Kakata, and there were some guys standing on line, and these guys just came and took him out of line and shot him right there. So that was very difficult, but fortunately for him, he was able to get a place to live in Kakata, where he was for a while, and then he got to know about the battle group commander. His girlfriend's father knew this guy, and actually this guy lived in his girlfriend's father's house. So she knew him, and he knew the father, so he was able to help them get on a vehicle and leave for Bopley, the bordering town with the Côte d'Ivoire. And on the way, there was a lot of things that went on, a lot of killing, a lot of slapping and punching and kicking, and it was just a terrible journey. And that was so hard because his son was about 4 years old, and he had to see all of what was going on. He had to walk over dead bodies that were spread out everywhere. It was so horrible. It was so bad that even to explain what the story concerning this issue is so hard, and it's so disheartening because there were people killed indiscriminately. I think, as we all know, over 500,000 people were killed because of just minor stuff. If you did something to someone, or someone thought you had the money before the Civil War, and now the war was there, they had guns in their hands. Young ones, 10-year-old guys, 9-year-old guys were insulting mothers and raping women and doing terrible things to them. He was in that midst, but he was now part and parcel of what was going on. But it was saddening, it was hard, and it felt that life was just digressing. It was going backwards. It wasn't even going ahead in the future, because it was just so hard. You can imagine this young man, from his birth, he has struggled and suffered all through his life, and now he had become an adult, went to college, and then now he was involved, intertwined with this kind of situation where people were being killed all around him. And he mentioned one time that his girlfriend and the son were on the way to Bopley, and while they were going, the people took him away from his girlfriend and the son and said they were going to kill him. They took his ID cards and everything, and they went to come back to pick him up. But then the girlfriend had to go to the commander for that area and plead with him to spare her boyfriend's life, and his life was spared. So these were things that he went through over time because it was so hard and so difficult. But fortunately for them, they were able to arrive in Bopley. And I will end here because it's a different part it will be in part 6. So there will be the next journey in Bopley, and then on to the Côte d'Ivoire, and then on to Ghana. So this will be something that you all will get the opportunity of listening to this story that this individual had gone through in life. And I tell you, they say, why don't kill help to make you fat or to fatten you? And I think through this situation and all of this, he became stronger because he saw things and which was so out of this world. But brothers and sisters, you good people out there, I'm so grateful that you could join me once more for this story, this journey that we're on. And I ask that you continue to watch whatever else that we have to tell you. So I ask that you subscribe and you like, and also hit the bell so that you will be one of the first to receive it or to get it, so you can watch that. But there are many more that will be coming, not just story. We'll have stories, we'll have interviews, we're going to have events and inspirational speakers and thoughts. So I want you to stick around, be with me. I love you. And I just want to say thanks for being a part of what is going on. Bye for now.